Hello kitties and happy Halloween. This is Zexanite, and today, since it's Halloween, I'm gonna be reading you a story. A scary story. Rawr. I just got finished playing Pokémon Lost Silver, which I recorded, and it's up now. So I figured I would read you the story of Lost Silver. Lost Silver was originally a creepypasta, and the game was made based on the creepypasta. So I figure I would read that to you. I was hoping to do this as a blind read, but one, I apparently suck at that. Two, the zip file that the Lost Silver game came in also had a text file of the creepypasta, but I don't know what's up with this. The grammar was kind of fucked up a bit, so I don't know if someone just like went in and like changed some stuff, or the version I'm reading now is on the creepypasta wiki. I'll leave a link below, but it's a lot more polished, so I don't know if someone fixed it or someone fucked it up, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to read you the better version, and unfortunately it won't be blind. I read through the whole thing, but yeah, hopefully it'll be better for it. So, let's get started. You see, I'm a simple college student living alone in an apartment. I was very enthusiastic about the release of Pokémon Heart Gold Soul Silver here in the States. I have purposely locked myself out of all media and the internet aside for school purposes. That means no 4chan, no V, no Bulbapedia, etc. As I was busy with the school year and being poor at the time, I wasn't able to buy Soul Silver on its launch date. After my school year ended, I ordered Soul Silver on Amazon. However, it would take a week for it to arrive. I decided that during that time I would replay my Crystal version on my Game Boy Color. However, I realized that long ago, my mom threw it away because I told her the save went dead, and I was very upset about it then. She also threw away my Silver version, so all I have is my Game Boy Color. As such, I set out to GameStop and bought a used Silver version, as it's the only Pokemon game they have left for the Game Boy Color. $10, fairly cheap. I went home and started it up for a nostalgia trip. However, that's where things started getting bizarre, and most likely the reason why you read this. The Game Freak logo started up as normal, but it just froze there. I thought the cart was just errored or something, so I turned it off and on. The same thing happened. I tried pressing A and start over and over, and all the buttons. Eventually the logo vanished and there was a black screen for about 5 seconds. Suddenly, rather than going to the usual menu screen, I was already in the game of a previous saved file, which was odd as I was expecting all of these carts to have been wiped by the poor battery. Either way, I wasn't complaining. I would have chosen the continue option to see what the previous guy did anyway. First off, I checked his trainer information. His name was just ... He didn't have much originality. I checked his profile, and apparently he had 999 hours and 99 minutes put into the game with all 16 badges, 999,999 Pokédollars, and all 251 Pokémon on the Pokédex. Seeing as he apparently had a Mew and Celebi logged also, I'm guessing he either used a Game Genie or was a really hardcore Pokemon player back then. I checked his Pokemon to see what badass team he has. To my surprise, I saw 5 unknowns and a 6th Pokemon named Hurry. I'm thinking that this must be some cruel joke by the person who last played this game, but I decided to check the profiles of those Pokemon anyways. As expected, they were all different letters of unknown, all level 5. I was a bit shaky with my unknown alphabet at that time, but I identified the word spelled out to be leave. As for the 6th Pokemon, it turned out to be a Cyndaquil. Mind you, this is before there were individualized Pokemon icons. The Cyndaquil looked normal, but it was level 5 with only 1 HP left, and only 2 attacks, Leer and Flash. I don't know why they named him Hurry, but at that time I just disregarded it. The most eerie thing was that despite my volume being at max, none of the Pokemon he had said their usual cries, just pure silence. Having enough of the team, I closed it. I was parked at what appears to be a room inside Bellsprout Tower. However, for some reason, there were no NPCs around. Even more eerie was that the pillar in the middle didn't move at all, as if it was just leaning on its side. There was no music at all, and there was no exit ladder, or at least I thought there wasn't. I walked around for a few minutes, but can't seem to find a way out. This was certainly not a room I've seen in the Bellsprout Tower before. I tried checking my items for an escape rope, but the bag was completely empty. There wasn't any wild Pokémon either. Finally, I managed to find a ladder, which turned out to be behind the pillar. The screen turned black, and the music finally started playing. I had a sudden chill as I recognized that melody to be the theme you hear when you listen to the radio at the Elf Rooms, where the Unknown are at. I immediately realized that it wasn't a loading transition, but rather I was in a dark room and would need flash. Before I took care of that, though, I immediately checked my Pokégear to change the radio to something more pleasant. But it turns out there was no radio card, or even a phone, or time cards. There was only a map card in which Gold, ... from earlier, and I will call him Gold from now on, was just walking in a midst of black. I recall that Cyndaquil had Flash, so I turned off my Pokégear and made Cyndaquil use Flash. I didn't see a message saying, "Hurry has used Flash," or anything like that. The room just became lit like that, and I soon regretted it. The room was a chilling blood red with a linear gray path heading south. The ladder I used to go up or down was not there at all. I had no choice but to head south. The screen got darker every 20 steps I made until I finally made it to the end, which appears to be a sign. I read the sign, which said, "Turn back now." Suddenly I was asked to answer yes or no, but there was no question asked. I chose yes, as I do not know what it was asking, and the screen went to black again, making a ladder climbed sound. The unknown radio music stopped, and in a few seconds was replaced with the not as creepy Pokéflute radio music. I was in another dark room, but I held my breath and used Flash again. Suddenly, it said that Hurry has fainted, which was odd, as I recall there were no status conditions like poison on him, and I clearly wasn't in a battle. I checked my Pokémon quickly, and suddenly, he's no longer in my party. In fact, after a bit of investigating, none of my Pokémon are there, but instead all replaced with level 10 unknowns. I did the same thing as before and spelled out the unknown. My then team of unknowns spelled, "He died." Either way, after that creepy change, the room was lit to reveal myself in a very small room that appears to be only 4 squares big. The walls of that room were gray bricks, as if I was inside something that was hollowed out. Outside the room appears to be a bunch of graves, similar to the ones in Pokémon Red and Blue. I've walked around this small room and pressed A, but nothing happened. I've already concluded that this was clearly a hacked game and some sadistic fuck sold it to GameStop. However, my curiosity kept me going. I checked the trainer profile of ... again, only to find out that the sprite of Gold was missing his arms. He also seemed to appear less smug, but rather seems more sad and empty, in a way that I do not know how to describe. For some reason, it also now said that he has 24 badges, which was clearly impossible. After a few minutes of aimless wandering, my character suddenly spun and did the escape rope spinning animation. Instead of flying upward, though, my character spun downward slowly, as if sinking. After that screen, the music stopped. After finally landing, the overworld sprite of Gold's skin is colored differently now. Instead of the usual red color that he dons, he appears completely white now, including his skin. It's as if he came straight from the colorless Game Boy games and placed into a colored background of the Game Boy Color. I checked his profile, and while now is as white as his overworld sprite, he lost his legs and has what appears to be bloody tears from his eyes. It also says he has 32 badges, which now starts to disturb me, as this change of numbers seems to represent something important. I also checked my Pokémon, which this time contains 5 unknowns and a level 100 Celebi without a nickname. The unknown this time are level 15 and spell out dying. I checked the Celebi's profile. It was a shiny Celebi, except there's only half of the sprite. 1 arm, 1 leg, 1 eye. It only has 1 attack, Parish Song. The area I was in itself was the Sprout Tower with the immobile pillar as before, except everything is apparently red now. I walked north for what felt like forever. Eventually, I encountered some generic men and women NPC. They were lined up to the side, just facing along the slantish pillar in the middle. They were also white, and nothing happens when I try to speak to them. I kept on going north until eventually the pillar finally appears chopped off with a transparent red in that spot. I went up to red and without even pressing A, I was suddenly engaged and finally in a battle. The music starts again, which sounds like the unknown radio music again, but played backwards. Gold's battle back sprite matches his front one with the bloody eyes, white skin, and lack of arms, while red sprite was the same as before in gold silver crystal, except transparent. The text simply said, "Wants to battle," as if he has no name, and both of us only have one Pokemon each, which is weird as I swore I had 6 with the unknowns. My tiny Celebi came out, conveniently with a half sprite for the back sprite also. The shiny noise and animation was different, as the sounds it made were like multiple screech attacks used consecutively. Red sent out a seemingly normal male Pikachu, except he is level 255 and his sprite seems sad and has tears in his eyes. Rather than the usual Fight Item Pokemon Run menu, I was given only the option to use attacks. Since Celebi only has one, I chose it. Naturally, since Pikachu was level 255, he went first. Pikachu used Curse, lowering his speed and increasing his other stats. I'm not even sure if Pikachu could use Curse. Celebi used Perish Song. In 3 turns, both Pokemon get KO'd. It's not like I have a choice. At this point, it didn't even go back to the fight menu, as the battle just continued without me. Also note that there were no animations at all for some reason. Pikachu used Flail, which didn't do much damage despite his level and boost, as his health was maxed. Celebi used Perish Song. Nothing happens, as it was already used. Pikachu used Frustration, which did a shit ton of damage, knocking Celebi down to less than 10 HP. Celebi used Pain Split, which surprised me as Celebi didn't even have that attack in the first place. Now Celebi and Pikachu have about 150 HP. Pikachu used Mean Look, not like that did anything. As expected, due to the effects of Perish Song, my Celebi fainted. Except in the text, it said, "Celebi has died." And instead of the ordinary drop off the screen animation, the Celebi back sprite just vanished. For some reason, Pikachu was still up, even with Perish Song, and it didn't count as my loss. Pikachu used one more attack beyond the 5 attack limit. Pikachu used Destiny Bond. Afterwards, it said, "Pikachu has died," with a slow fade out animation. Apparently, I was the winner as the transparent red sprite showed up and said, ... At that point, I just freaked out, as the transparent red sprite was suddenly beheaded, leaving nothing but his transparent body. The battle then ended at that point and faded out along with the music. I'm back in the overworld with another change to the gold sprite. He's now as transparent as Red's overworld sprite. I quickly checked Gold's profile, where this time the only thing that remains of him is his head, with a transparent skin. The head was zoomed in a bit, showing the black void in his eyes. It now stated that he now has 40 badges. I then backed out and checked my Pokemon. They were all level 20 Shiny Unknown, which when spelled out read, "No more." I was at what I now know is next to the end. There was apparently no music playing, but for some reason I still felt like there was something that could be heard. I was back in my room in New Barktown. Maybe finally I get to play this game properly, but who am I kidding? I knew that the sadistic fuck must have done something. I walked, quote-unquote, around my room to interact with things, as I'm a bit afraid to go downstairs to see what was awaiting down there. Note I said, quote-unquote, walked, as while the background was moving, Gold was not moving his transparent limbs at all while doing so, just floating like those ghosts you see in Diamond and Pearl. As expected, the radio, computer, and TV did not work, so I had no choice but to go down the stairs. I ended up in the same lower level room of my house. Everything appears to be normal except Mom isn't home. After failing to interact with anything in this room, I decided to go outside. To my surprise, that door leading outside to the south didn't work, and instead I just walked straight through to a void. I continued moving south to see what the fuck was going on. My house vanishes as I head south into the void. It was creepy, as when I entered the void, the outline of Gold's transparent sprite turned to white to contrast the pitch black. Eventually, I reached a white area and Gold's sprite turned black and transparent again. I continued south without thinking of stopping at all. After a long trek south, I finally encountered something. It was Gold's regular sprite. I talked to it. He said, "Goodbye forever, ... Notably, with a space in between the forever and the ... and vanished. As that happened, it said, question mark, use nightmare, at which point I would not deny that being possible. Gold did another escape rope animation, spinning slowly downwards like before. I'm now back in that small hollowed-out room surrounded by graves earlier. Or, at least I say I was back there, as there's no sprite anymore. I tried to walk around, but nothing moved, not even a wall bumping noise. I checked my trainer profile with absolutely no gold sprite left. It said I have 0 badges, and all the pictures of the Johto gym leaders at the bottom were replaced with skulls. I checked my Pokémon, which were all level 25 unknown. As expected, it spelled out a phrase that I dared to read. I'm dead. As soon as I went back to the overworld, the room I supposedly was in was covered with the same blocks as the walls. I then figured out exactly what that room was when the final text was said, R.I.P. ... That big room was a grave, surrounded by other graves. Gold has already been dead. He died presumably a few years after he defeated Red. He was a young trainer who, despite his efforts in collecting so many badges and attempts at becoming a Pokémon master, was unable to avoid the inevitable fate of death, and his efforts were eventually forgotten by the next generation. I was unable to escape the text no matter what I pressed. I tried resetting the game, and the same thing happened, at which I then decided to give up on that horrible nightmare. After that experience, I will never look at the gimmick Unknown the same way again. They say that only the first generation have folktales and legends, but the second generation have shown me how unpleasant the truth can be. I eventually enjoyed my Soul Silver immensely, but I still can't unthink what that rigged game has told me. So, that has been Pokémon Lost Silver. So, my opinion on this, I mean, the creepypasta itself, isn't so scary, but I do like the kind of twist at the end where, first we've forgotten all about red and blue in favor of gold and silver, and then that we're now forgetting about, gold and silver, and this is kind of like the end of our memories kind of thing, where like it says they're forgotten by the next generation. So by the time that Emerald, or I keep messing names up, Ruby and Sapphire came out, we were already long forgotten about gold and silver and, you know, all that. So, yeah, as for the game, I feel like it was really well done. I feel like there's a lot of detail put into it. Like, it's like the game to a T. I noticed a few very minor differences, but, they were minor differences. So, yeah, that's cool. And you'll notice that, the game, the story doesn't have the one part of the game where if you spam no, it flies you somewhere and stuff like that. Reading this on the Creepypasta wiki, it says that there has been talk about expanding the story and adding a different series if the player chooses no at the sign where it says turn back now. While many people believe that the events when choosing no, which is referred to as hidden by fans, is a made-up addition by the fans, it is in fact made up by the original writer in his response to the creator of the fan game. So, that was a thing. So, yeah, it's kind of cool that they put, like, this kind of bonus section in it, because reading the pasta is, like, it's quite long, as you can tell by the time on this video. But, the game itself, when played out, isn't really that long, so it's kind of cool that they added that sort of bonus section in it. Overall, the story, the game, they're slightly creepy. They're not like, oh my god, I can't sleep tonight, creepy, but, yeah, they're fun, they're cool, just slightly creepy. So yeah, I'm leaving a link in the description to the creepypasta, also to the game, So, I recommend those. Check those out when you have a chance. That's all for this creepypasta today, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.